Enlargement of the European Union, a constitution adopted over 230 years ago, public procurement and future challenges for the EU economy. You can hear about all of this in the newest movie on my channel. Dear friends, especially my dear colleagues from abroad, today I recommend my new film to you, which is exceptional. It's a unique conversation with an exceptional guest on an exceptional topic. Let's start with the subject, with the topic. The trigger for our conversation are the anniversaries that we celebrate in Poland in May. May 1st, we celebrated the 20th anniversary of Poland's accession to the EU. But today, on May 3rd, we commemorate the anniversary of the second constitution in the whole world and the first in Europe. A constitution that is one of many splendid monuments of the Polish legal culture. But what's most amazing is that both anniversaries are important not only for Poles. They are shared success of Poland and Lithuania. For hundreds of years, we cooperated in our common state, the Commonwealth of Poland and Lithuania, which in this part of the world was an independent center of power, center of political gravity, with a great culture and legal tradition. That's why today I wanted to remind you of this great heritage. And my invitation to participate in this video was accepted by my distinguished colleague, an excellent lawyer from Lithuania, Laurynas Lukošiūnas. Managing partner, attorney at law at Hub Legal Law Firm. Enjoy. I really appreciate that you accepted my invitation and that we can meet and to discuss on the Polish and Lithuanian perspective on the European law, European public procurement law, or generally law, because I should explain that we have at least two triggers, two reasons why we meet today. The first and probably the most obvious from the European perspective is that these days, on the 3rd of May, we celebrate the 20th anniversary of joining of our countries, Poland and Lithuania, to the European Union. And of course, this fact is obviously impactful. It determines our legal systems, especially our public procurement law, because I should mention that we both are specialized in that. But we have also another reason to meet today on the 3rd of May. This reason maybe is not so obvious from the perspective of our audience, especially when if it is each national, the so-called Western audience. And this reason is the anniversary of the so-called Constitution of the 3rd May, which was the second in the whole world and the first European constitution, which was a great result of our cooperation between our states, our nations, Lithuanians and Poles, in the scope of our, let's say, Commonwealth, Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. So we have great common legal heritage. And in this context, I would like to formulate my first question. Do you sometimes think about this heritage, about the Constitution of the 3rd May? Maybe you had an opportunity to rely on this legal act, on this great legal act in your professional career.
Yes, thank you, Yaroslav. It's a great pleasure to be here to talk to you and your audience. Yeah, you as I say, I already mentioned probably when we met live a few times, but I consider you one of the most active lawyers in public procurement field, active like in social, I mean, life in everywhere, in YouTube and other channels. So it's good to be here with you. And yes, we are actually in between two very significant dates. 1st of May was yesterday, the day before. It was the 20th anniversary of joining of European Union for you, for your country, Poland, and for Lithuania, and for many other new members. And yes, and 3rd of May, it's also a big celebration in Lithuania. It's not a bank holiday, not a day off. Unfortunately, we have to work on the 3rd of May, but we also celebrate. We also celebrate with great legal document. And and when we say that, like, Englishmen have their Magna Carta and other things, yes, or other countries have legal documents which we are proud of from history. So our countries, I think, should be, and we are proud of this legal document. It's a great legal document. Ustava, yes, or Constitution, 3rd May. It's a great legal document. I'm myself, I'm a big fan of history, and I have read the Constitution several times, and in different languages even. Although I don't speak so good in Polish, I understand a little bit, but also I read it in old Lithuanian and in present Lithuanian. So there is it was made in Polish language only at that time, but it also was translated to that very historical kind of almost Samogatian, not so Lithuanian language, with different like letters which are not being used today. So we are not using W, for example, or other letters which you use in Poland. And it was used, and it was also some words used in a Polish way. So it was very interesting to read. It sounds like very kind of a bit funny, but so interesting. So yeah. So it's, and yes, it's, as you say, it's really modern document for that time. And unfortunately, due to historical reasons, it was not used so much. Yes, due to things, what the collapse of our united country, Czechoslovakia, the Commonwealth. But still, it's a great example of lawyers at that time, which they did great work, and it was in front, how to say, of the time. Yes, and yes, of course, it's not a valid document, nor in Lithuania or Poland, but this constitutional spirit, which is written in that document, it came to our present constitution. Parts of it, is when we were writing our laws already in modern times, lawyers took care of reading that document also, and very good things are written there. And it was one kind of funny story, but I was quoting that document, although not kind of legally valid at present times, but I was quoting in one court case, because it had happened so, as I mentioned, we do not have a holiday on the 3rd of May, and I had a court hearing, and I had a final speech, closing remarks to be given in a quite a big case, and I was representing a natural person, although on a big case related to business things, but I was feeling what my position was not strong enough, and I need something new, some maybe a new idea, and something to attract attention of a judge. And I opened this constitutional 3rd May, found article number 8, which says a lot of things about courts. And one thing is what every man, human, should be close to the justice. So it's written in Polish and in modern Lithuanian translation and old times Lithuanian. And I quoted that, like, this man came to the court having in mind what he should receive justice, and justice close to himself. So, and again, that attention, really, I got an attention from a court, from a particular judge, because it was something like really extraordinary to quote a document which is not valid anymore. But yeah, and the case ended not so successfully, but partially successfully. So hopefully, I still believe, but that quote made the change. So I think it's important to remember our legal history and to learn things from that, and to use it if you can. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so great story. It confirmed that the Constitution of the 3rd May is still alive. Yeah, and yeah, it's incredible that over 600 years ago, Poland, Lithuanian formed a union, a commonwealth, which eventually evolved into a community of legal systems, and that we have so great heritage, common legal heritage. But it surprised me even more that despite of such a splendid shared heritage, cooperation between our countries today is not as strong as one might expect. I think that we do not know each other enough. We do not know our perspective. And for sure, I'm sure that our interview, our recording, will change this situation. So moving on to contemporary times, as you mentioned, both our countries joined the EU 20 years ago. And this means, amongst other things, that our countries had to adjust their law, especially public procurement law, to EU requirements. And I mentioned that because we met in 2023 in Athens during a conference organized by Asia. And that time we were both focused on public procurement law. As I mentioned, we are both specialized in this area of European law and our national legal systems. And I remember we had many similar observations, many similar remarks on the functioning of the public procurement market in the EU, especially, but also in our economies. Therefore, taking advantage of this second anniversary of our country's EU enlargement, I wanted to ask you how you assess this change from the perspective of Lithuania. What is your perspective as a Lithuanian lawyer on this last 2 decades of changing, of transition of our legal systems, especially taking into account public economic law, and particularly public procurement law?
Yes, yes. Thank you. Just before answering that, I would also kind of use the opportunity to comment a little bit about our relations of countries. So I think it's the things, of course, due to our cooperation as well. Hopefully, we contribute to our friendship of two nations. But I think the situation is getting better every year, every day, probably we can say, But we really had a strong push from Soviet times, this kind of bad heritage, and the history books was written by not Lithuanians and Polish, when we had the occupation times and influence of some other countries, yes. And then I think that's one of the reasons why our countries, from these good times, from unity times, departed a little bit, and people also departed. But now, every day, when we are already reading like real history, what happened actually, how good it was, our union with Commonwealth, when we understand, how many things we have in common, and yes, we become more close and closer. So my recommendation for everyone in Lithuania and in Poland to read more good books about our joint history. Actually, now I'm reading a book in English language, which is called Polish History, modern Polish History, which I bought in Warsaw Chopin Airport. Trying to read, not easy one, but so it's good when you understand more about your neighbor. Then you can also feel like closer to the nation, So and going forward to the question about what happened basically in Lithuania in these 20 years, we went through dramatic changes, I would say, yes. So probably the same in Poland, and we have the same law. For example, when we talk about public procurement, so it's still called the Law on Public Procurement from 1996. But but if I before our discussion, I opened it today just to read it. I was a kid when it was 1996, but I opened how it looked like. It's like I don't know, maybe 20 times shorter than we have now. Yeah, the same law from 1996, but of course, due to directives, due to all these European Union influences, changed dramatically. But but it's not also about the length, but also about the quality, about everything, about about transparency, about all these principles. There are no principles like the principles which we apply it's not written. These principles you cannot find in this law which we had like in 1996. Something like towards that, but not truly. So we have totally different system and more transparent, more European, and many good things came. And of course economically we grew so rapidly. We now our level of economy, is kind of very close to many countries already, even in Western Europe, which is surprisingly for everyone. If you come to Warsaw, you come to Vilnius or Vilna, yes, how you call it. Anyone who never been there or been many times ago, many decades ago, they would see like totally different world. So already modern, and so I think this is many things came not only due to ourselves, to our nations who contributed, every one of us, to that, but also due to right path, choosing to join the European Union. So it's very important, and also it's very good what we have is alignment, especially in public procurement. We feel it. You remember what was before the European Union? We have different systems, absolutely different systems with different ideas in public procurement. Now we have alignment. We have similar procedures. We have similar things. We have the same principles, and for investors from outside European or from one European Union country to another, it's much easier. It's much easier to invest, to come to apply for public money when you understand the system. Even though if you do not have local lawyers, which we are not recommending usually to enter the market without support of local lawyers, this is not recommended. But still, you have understanding. If you are from Germany, for example, and you have public procurement experience, so you have an understanding what can you expect in Poland or in Lithuania. And this is an absolutely perfect thing, what you can, as a lawyer, you practice in Lithuania, but a lot of things already in Poland or in Germany, which helps you to also to cooperate and so on. So just because of European Union, we are speaking today, and this is lovely. We have to celebrate, yes. So
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So we agree that it was great chance for our countries, and for sure we took advantage of that for sure. We are much richer than we used to be before 2004, when we as we were 20 years ago. Yeah, I think that as I mentioned, we took advantage of this chance. I had a great pleasure to visit Vilnius, yeah, I am. I have fallen in love with this city. Maybe a little bit because of fact that yeah, as I mentioned you off the record, that my ancestors came from historical Lithuania. So Vilnius is of course Vilnius is very important city, and your country is very important for our history, for history of Poland, and let's say our common history, because it is our common history. Okay, so we're talking about the past. We were talking about present times, and I would like to ask you also about your perspective, your view on the future. I think we could say that now we live in a time of crisis these days. Something that is sure from our national perspective is that both in past and in the future, the reason why we have crises from time to time in this part of the world, the answer is quite clear, and it is one of our neighbors, of course, and the same is exactly this time. It is exactly the same. So when we think about this most obvious challenges, geopolitical challenges. Probably we would say about Russia's aggression against Ukraine, the migrant crisis inspired by Belarus and Russia on the Belarus-Poland and Belarus-Lithuania borders, as well as escalating rivalry between the USA and China, and of course some tensions within the European Union. All of this significantly impacts the economy and business, including the public procurement market. And unfortunately, our countries are at the center of this dangerous current tendencies, phenomena. Do you think our approach to economic policy, to public procurement, generally to economic law, needs to change within the EU? Because I think that this anniversary of joining of our countries to the European Union and anniversary of our common constitution of the 3rd May, it is good opportunity to think about that, to think about these serious challenges facing our region these days, and maybe from your perspective, from the perspective of a Lithuanian lawyer, do you have any advices, any tips, and remarks in this context?
Yes. Yes, thank you. Really, it's these times what we are living in now are raising, a lot of kind of questions to us about the future. And you're right, mentioned by yourself, we are living, in the center of this things what's happening. We are kind of on the border of European Union, and we have this historical moment which we don't know how the things will evolve, and how will end. And I think European Union, and with support from Europe, not only from NATO, it's like another kind of thing, which also happened at least in Lithuania 20 years ago. So also a celebration. But talking about the European Union itself also is a big support and an answer to our questions, and our worries. What will happen? Because European Union really has a power, especially economical power, to support us in this crisis as we are facing at the moment, and it's very good. And at least I personally was surprised how European Union and public procurement kind of sector reacted to COVID. So we have like one crisis, just a couple of years ago, we had another crisis which we recovered successfully from, and we had also, as lawyers, probably yourself, doubts how this body, which is not very dynamic sometimes, yes, and like a big elephant moving in a glass room, when we talk about European procurement system, will react to these challenges as COVID. And I was surprised in a good way, in a pleasant way, what really European Union bureaucrats, if you even call them like this, reacted, and all the countries members reacted very well, and we really got the flexibility. You remember, we had this flexibility and different kind of memorandums and support from governing bodies, from European Union as a union to member states. But you have a flexibility to buy things what is needed for different medical, when we talk medical supplies and so on, tests and different other things which needed to be bought in urgency, which we had, like everything was counted not even in days but in hours, of things we needed to achieve very quickly. And it's very good what we got with flexibility, and so it's the same. But as we talk about public procurement rules to be applied in times of crisis, in the urgency, what is we are facing now sometimes, or we're going to be facing in the future if something even worse would happen. So we have this flexibility. So these lessons already learned. And I'm very happy for that. Like if we talk, for example, we had a story about border building, between countries. Of course, border building is not a good thing at all when we talk about, European Union no border rule. But when we talk about this crisis, when we had this migrant crisis, also we had a lot of discussions, how, for example, to buy the border, the wall, the equipment for a wall, the how it has to be constructed. And there was a finding what it's possible to do it in a flexible way, not applying very lengthy public procurement rules and not do the procurement for a couple of years, and this everything was bought in days, and weeks, and the wall is standing already, So there's like a reaction, and there was no discussion what public procurement rules are not letting this procedures, quick procedures, no. The procedures can be quick if it's needed. So it's a good examples. On the other hand, talking about our experience in Lithuania, and also from COVID times, we had also not so good examples. For example, we were using in Lithuania many businesses and also governmental institutions this opportunity to buy things very fastly without complicated procedures. And what happened, procedures, they went along, the goods, the medical goods were bought and used, but later on we had cases about improper use of funds and so on.
Oh.
And even today, myself, I'm representing one of the companies which were kind of injured by the state due to the thing that they bought from other countries, collected many COVID tests. They had simplified procedure with Lithuanian, one of governmental bodies, one purchasing authority, and all the procedures were fine, and still it's nobody disputed these procedures, but it was like bought from one source which was allowed at that time. And later on, it was the state disputed the contract and asked for some sort of discount in 4 million euros amount. So we got this very strange. I would say I was really unhappy with Lithuanian court decisions. Unfortunately, we had a favorable first court decision, but unfavorable appeal court decision, and the Supreme Court has not accepted our claim, our cassation claim. So we went to the Court of Justice. So we have now a pending case, European Court of Justice on public procurement, on this COVID public procurement. And I'm really looking forward for the European kind of body, although not European Union, but European level body, to give an explanation, what if the European Union allowed it, possibility to buy from single source, to buy it as quick as possible. So no later kind of review without having evidence what something was wrong should be done. So you cannot say what, I bought the can of milk, I drank the milk, and then I say like, I want a discount of the milk later on. So, so this is what we have. These stories, which this is like, I would say, bad examples of how we mistreat, the understanding, and how we differently understand how the procedure should be applied. So, for example, I never heard these kind of stories in Western European countries, but I heard in this part of Central or Eastern European part, when we apply the rules too strict, or we are too strict to ourselves. So I think this is the lessons we should learn. What then the European Union, all member states agree what there should be a flexibility. So there really should be a flexibility, not in one country real flexibility and another country some sort of less flexible rules. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. It was a great summary. Unfortunately, in Poland, you could also hear about similar cases to the Lithuanian, and probably because of the same reason that you described. So yes, and I said that it was great summary because I have a few conclusions after your speech, after our conversation. But the most important conclusion is that we should more talk. We should more cooperate, and we should share our experience, especially between countries of our region. I remember the conference. It was 1 year ago. It was in 2023, which took place in Tartu, in Estonia. It was organized by Professor Almari Simovart and Professor Kari Ginter. Also well-known Baltic region lawyers specialized in public procurement law, as we are. And during this conference, I heard many similar examples. I had opportunity to share my experience. Today I can hear your ideas, and I know that we should repeat our meeting, maybe in the scope of a bigger conference, focus on these problems and to share our experience, because I think that these days, on the beginning of May, taking into account these anniversaries that we were talking about, we can mention, and it is worth mentioning, that cooperation between our countries, and transfer of knowledge, transfer of experience between, especially our lawyers, between us, may be very, very productive, and I am sure that our conversation was also very productive and will be useful. For me, it is for sure all useful. I hope that it will be useful for our audience. So once again, thank you very much for this conversation, and I hope to see you as soon as possible to continue our conversations.
Thank you. Thank you, Jaroslav. Dziękuję bardzo.
Thank you very much. Dziękuję bardzo.